The 2024 racing season started really well for Red Bull, but the other teams don't want to give up. Even though Red Bull has been way ahead in the first two races, the other teams looked at what they're doing wrong. Red Bull's biggest competitors will bring really big improvements to their cars to fix these problems and make sure they can still compete well for the whole 2024 season starting from the Imola race. But what problems do these teams need to fix? And more importantly, can they fix them with just one big upgrade at Imola? To understand what upgrades the teams will bring to Imola, you need to know what problems their 2024 cars have. At least the first versions of them, and if these cars give them a good starting point to build on for the rest of the season. So let's start our video with Mercedes, the team that has made big changes to their rear wing in the first two races and has gotten much better at going fast in straight lines, but they lost some control and now they're really bad at high speed. Corners. This is the main thing the team wants to fix starting from Imola. And it was one of the big reasons why the team waited to bring their upgrades that were supposed to come earlier in the season. Mercedes started the season with a completely new design and way of thinking, which included a new body frame and gearbox as well as new parts that helped the air flow around the car. While some of the old problems stayed, this was expected because Allison warned us that not every part of the car can be fixed in one winter. And like everything in Formula One, when you fix one problem, you often create a chance to start a new one. And in this case, that's the high-speed corner problem of the W15. This is something the team had to make up for a lot by adding a lot of rear downforce to the car for the second track in Jeddah, making the car faster on straight parts from being the slowest in Bahrain, with only 313 kilometers per hour to being the second fastest car in Jeddah at 332 kilometers per hour, even beating Red Bull by a little bit. The low downforce rear wing has good and bad points, and according to Chauvelin, the main goal for Mercedes would be to try and bring more control to the car without giving up so much and trying to make up for their weak spots in such an extreme way. When talking about this more, Andrew Chauvelin said, "We were actually one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car in a straight line, so we were using quite a light wing setup. What we could do is slow ourselves down in sectors 2 and 3 where the car was quick on the straights to try and get back some time in sector 1 with the high-speed corners. But we'd rather keep that speed and figure out a way to try and make sector 1 better, without putting a lot more downforce on the car and then paying for it on the straights." Another problem that Mercedes has is its old enemy, bouncing, which came back in Jeddah's qualifying session and has made the car hard to predict. It's clear that Mercedes is working on a lot of different things and trying to bring the best and most stable version of the car, but at the same time it's also clear that they're all mixed up and it could mean that they might not understand what the car wants and needs, something that Hamilton talked about a lot during the past couple of years. When talking about this, Wolff was sure that the team could see improvement as early as Melbourne, even though it would be in small ways. But once Imola comes, the team will have a huge chance to make the car much more competitive and challenge Red Bull much more often at the front. Besides Mercedes, we must not forget about Ferrari, the closest team when it comes to challenging Red Bull for the best starting positions and race wins right now. The gap compared to Verstappen is still huge, and the double-digit time difference doesn't make Sainz or Leclerc feel good right now, but what the team has planned in the near future might change that in a big way. Ferrari is one of the teams that planned a massive makeover of their car at Imola, and one of the reasons is that they believe they have a great starting point to work on with the SF24. More specifically, the car doesn't have any basic problems that would stop it from performing at a level close to or similar to Red Bull's. Ferrari also has huge excitement going for them that was given to them by Hamilton's move in 2025, and what the team wants to do is give him a championship-winning car right away. Since the 2024 cars will stay mostly the same for the next season, it's clear that the team would push as hard as they could to close the gap to Red Bull in the current season. According to Vasseur, the gap to Red Bull has already been cut in half even without the upgrades at Imola coming. And while they still have to see the RB20 being upgraded to the next level in tracks like Suzuka and Imola, the Frenchman is quite positive that the championship battle will take a strong turn once the first Italian Grand Prix comes on the calendar. Explaining this even more, Vassar said, "It is never easy to have a clear picture of the race performance because you don't know when the guys are pushing. But if you compare with 1 year ago, plus or minus 0.2, we were 1.1 seconds behind Red Bull, and now it's 4, 5, or 0.6, so we've cut the gap in half. The performance is coming from everywhere, and it's never that you have one magic thing that can bring 0.5 to the car, and we must improve in every single area. It was the approach last year, and at the end it worked well as we made a good step, but in every single area we have to continue to push, and for sure aerodynamics is always the key. We have upgrades in the pipeline, but I'm sure that so does everybody else. And the most important thing is not to bring upgrades, but to bring upgrades that you can actually use on the car. It is where last year we did a good job. Another team that also has big problems to fix is McLaren, and while they did better than Mercedes in Jeddah thanks to their high-speed corner advantage, their problem is quite the opposite compared to the Silver Arrows. We've seen that even on much fresher tires and with open DRS, Piastri had a lot of trouble getting past Hamilton in Jeddah. This means that they need to work on their straight-line speed, and unlike Mercedes, their sacrifices would have to be done in the opposite area, which would be making this better by giving up a bit of the control the car has when entering high-speed corners. But what is good news for McLaren is that the team is quite positive about the foundation they have to work on, which was built throughout the 2023 season when the team started at dead last, but managed to turn things around and be a regular podium challenger. Although they would have hoped to start 2024 much better, the planned upgrades at Imola are something that the team is putting a lot of hope in, not just in making the car faster on straights, but also in improving the DRS efficiency, which has also proven to be a huge problem of the MCL 3.8. When talking about McLaren's upgrade plans, Andrea Stella confirmed that while the team would be bringing small upgrades to tracks like Australia and Japan, the big upgrade would come at race 6 or 7, explaining more. We have some minor things that will come for Australia and hopefully for Japan, but they will help by just a few milliseconds. And then hopefully within the first third of the season, we will have a major upgrade. It's going to be for around races 6 or 7. We are losing time in the longer corners of the track. And the other area in which we seem to be losing some time is the sections where the DRS is used. Actually, our top speed was competitive when DRS wasn't being used, but then especially compared to Red Bull, we lost time with DRS on. So I think we are first of all happy from a competitive point of view, but definitely we can see that the areas where we have a weakness do hurt our ultimate performance and our competitiveness, and we can never ignore that. And we can never forget about Aston Martin, a team that always seems to have something going on behind the scenes. And since their foundation is solid and they're following an upward path in development, the upgrades planned at Imola will target some of the weak spots that hurt the performance of the AMR24. One such weakness is the high fuel pace of the car, which happens particularly because of where the fuel tank is positioned. This might affect how the weight is spread around the car, and it makes it sit lower to the ground, which affects how the floor works, and the floor is really important to the current rules era. With all of this in mind, which team do you think has the highest chance of challenging Red Bull in 2024? And more importantly, do you think this is possible since the Austrian team will also bring upgrades of their own, and they could prove to make the gap between them and the rest of the grid even bigger? Let us know in the comments below.